Religion has many victims, and these are the stories of how they survived. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Awakening. I'm your host, Heather.
And I'm the co-host, Jezebel or Tamara. Welcome.
We are so excited to have you guys back with us again this week. We are on, I think, our 20th episode this week, aren't we? Which is
Oh my
crazy.
goodness. Look at us go.
This podcast started off as literally a dream, and we have birthed it into something incredibly powerful and beautiful. And I just wanted to do this opening a little different this week because I just wanted to say thank you to all of you that listen to us every week because we couldn't do any of this without all of you. And we are just so grateful to be out here elevating your stories of healing and survival. We are healing loudly together. And this week we have a really incredible guest. His name is Zachary, and he's coming to us today all the way from Florida, which means he's dodging the weather, isn't he, T? What's your weather like right now in Detroit?
Minus 20 degrees.
And those
Just
roads
so you
are
know,
horrific.
just so you know, I'm from South Florida myself. And to make sure that I say what, to go back with what Heather said, thank you all for trusting us with your stories, knowing that we're going to ensure that it's a safe place. And at any time, please step away if you need to take a break. We understand sometimes that our stories are very hard for people to hear, but we are here to support you and to sit with you in the dark, regardless of where you are on your story. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
So, welcome in, Zachary. Are you excited to be on our show today? Because I know I'm
I
excited.
I am so excited just to sit and gab with you.
Now, listen, y'all, I have to tell you about Zachary because Zachary is a really wonderful friend of mine. He is not only strikingly handsome, okay, we just got to put that out there, but he is an incredible friend to have in your corner. He not just talks the talk when it comes to advocacy, but he walks that walk as well. His values are all about protecting people that are the most vulnerable. So I am grateful to have him here today, and we are going to start talking about his story. So are you ready, Zach?
Let's
And
do
just so you know, a friend of Heather is a friend of
it.
mine.
Same.
So,
Oh,
Zachary, when you think back to your childhood, how would you describe childhood? And
oh.
how would you describe the religious environment that you were raised in?
Extreme. My childhood was fear. That's all my childhood was. I can go back to second grade, and that's as far back as I remember, and that's when it started. Um, and from the age of 7 until the age of 20, I lived in fear every day of hell. I was terrified of the rapture coming. I was terrified of dying. God wouldn't fix me. It's I never realized how bad it was till I went back and processed it. It's you for me, my therapist said, you kind of had this breaking point in your life. And the I did therapy 2 rounds. The first round of therapy was for, when they found out, they excommunicated me, disowned me, and threw me out, called me the prodigal, all that. When that moment happened, that was the reality that I had been waiting for my entire childhood up until that moment. And when that moment happened, the something in me flipped, and then my life just changed because it went from the what if to now I'm in it.
Yeah.
And I never processed the what if my entire life. I went through therapy around 30, like 28, 30. It was that time frame of when I went through the part of just dealing with the, being disowned, excommunicated, the rejection part is what I dealt with in therapy the first time. I had to go back the second time and deal with religion trauma of I was an indoctrinated child to believe I was going to burn in hell, and there
Yeah.
was no escape. And that is what you all have kind of seen me do on the internet. I came to the internet about 4 months into that journey, and I mean, of
Yeah.
all people, like it's that journey for me has been hell of just other things in my life that have gone on just to be like when I tell you, I feel like there has been something trying to destroy me since I started this journey. I mean, it's there, and I mean, there's people in my life that'll attest to that. But to just think back on my childhood, that's all it was. Every day of school, all I could think about. I spent my entire life. My childhood was negotiating with God. My childhood was trying to build a defense for when I got to my judgment day. That's all. I didn't learn in school. I couldn't sit and concentrate in school. I was too busy negotiating with God. I was too busy trying to figure out how I was not going to burn. Um, that was my childhood.
And so many of us have experienced those same feelings and thoughts. And to process that, you know, once you leave a high controlled religion, at first I thought I was just deconstructing a high controlled religion. And then I realized that I was deconstructing indoctrination as well. And that journey is so hard and so messy and so lonely. And that is why we do our show.
Yep. Because you don't realize until you go to these therapists or you go seek out help how ingrained all of that is into every fiber of who you are and what it takes to process, unpack, and rewire your brain because that's what you literally have to do. You have to rewire your neural pathways
Mhm.
differently because the damage literally changes your brain. Like, that's crazy.
I
And people don't realize that.
I'll tell you the changing moment for me in this, and I mean it's kind of off topic, but it's what we're talking about. When I first spoke out about this, about what I went through, I expected the hate from the church, and I got it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I
Yeah.
have the proof, and I got it. What I did not expect were my friends from youth group that I grew up with to text me and say thank you. I went through, and I was like, wait. In my mind, I was the only one God wouldn't fix. What sin was on you that you couldn't be cured
Yes.
of, that you thought you were going to burn in hell? Because the only one in my mind was homosexual. That was the
Yes.
only one you couldn't get out of because no matter how many times I prayed, I couldn't change. Nothing would change in that. Like I could lie all day, but you're
Yeah.
raised to believe God knows our heart, so you can't lie to Him. That was the fucked up situation.
Yes.
I could lie to everybody in my life and play that fictional character. I couldn't fool God. There
Yep.
was like that is such psychological damage. But I sat down with one of my friends from my childhood, and when I tell you, I remember this girl to the point of like in church when she was 5 years old, her and her cousin, I know exactly where they would sit in church. They would wear her mom and aunt, they would dress them up like the really dooley fancy fluted dresses and the tights and the buckle shoe. You know what I'm talking about? The just the
Yes.
little American doll looking church outfits that they brought the kids.
Yeah.
I remember her, and she asked me to go to dinner with her one night, and we were sitting at the restaurant, sitting at the table, and she said, "I don't know how to. I want to tell you my story, but I don't want to take away. Like she's like, I don't want to take away from yours, and I don't want you to think that I'm trying to compete because what you went through is so much worse." She was
Yeah.
like, "But I just want you to know like how you helped me," and I was like, "Okay," and she just blurts out. At the age of 5, my grandfather raped me so hard I had to be taken to the hospital and sewn shut.
Oh my God.
And the look on my face, I know I couldn't hide it. And she thought I was horrified that she immediately started apologizing for saying too much. And I was like, that's not where I'm at right now. I was
Yeah.
like, you thought you were going to burn in hell for that.
Yep.
Yes.
And the tear. And I was like, oh my God, I thought I had it bad. I thought I couldn't figure you had no hope.
Yeah.
There was no hope for you. You were 5 and there was no hope.
Because girls were taught that they were damaged if they didn't have, we were worthless if we didn't have that intact. And
When she
that's the
was
reality.
13, at 13,
Like,
her youth pastor looked at her and said, you need to pray real hard that God can find a man to love you because you're a used vessel.
yep.
Yeah. That's what I was told.
Yes.
And
That's why when I got engaged, even though I was 16 years old, my brother immediately came to me and told me that I needed to tell my husband that I had been raped when I was 8, just in case he didn't want to marry me. And that came straight out of my own household because that's the way we were raised with those beliefs. Like, it is so screwed up. And
and
I
it
was
messes
8
with your,
years old. I was 8 years
yeah.
old. I
I'm like,
wasn't damaged because of that. The
how
person
am
who
I
did it to me
supposed to be?
was.
Right. Sorry. It's like,
No.
how are you supposed to be responsible? My earliest memories are 4, and it wasn't me playing in the ocean in West Palm Beach, Florida. How are you supposed to be responsible for a grown man's actions your whole life? And then told when you're 55 that you desecrate holy ground by your family you haven't spoken to in 30 years. How how over what, 25, 30 years, you're still held responsible for the sins of another person is
Yeah.
just unbelievable.
Yep.
Just just unbelievable. So, Zach, what were unspoken rules in that space? What was rewarded and what was punished?
In childhood or
Yeah.
Anytime. Yeah,
um
childhood.
okay, for me, like you've got to understand like my upbringing. I grew up, I started in Independent Fundamental Baptist. My grandfather was an Independent Fundamental Baptist preacher. He had a church. My mom played the piano, my aunt played the organ, my dad led the choir. It was like, that, and that's where I was at. Like the time period, I never remember being in that church. I do remember like my grandparents' house was on the church property in the back. Like there are little things that I remember, but not like they're just I couldn't. I mean, I know what the inside of the church looks like, but I mean that's just because it looks like a church on the inside. Like
Yeah.
we kind of pulled out of that, but for us, my mom was the one that always had the well-behaved boys. Everybody wanted their children to be like my
Oh,
mom's
yes.
children. Okay,
Yep.
my mom can put that front on to the world. My mom, like my everybody thinks that I'm this horrible person because I've told one thing that my parents did bad to me, which was conversion therapy, and like my story about conversion therapy has nothing to do with my parents. For I got in an argument with someone that was trying to promote me when I started this and what I was doing. They were like, "You need to tell your story." And the first thing I said, "Drop it. I will never humiliate my family." I knew my family regretted what they did to me. I knew that. What my relationship that I don't have a relationship with my mom now is not about conversion therapy. I got over that. But growing up, we were the disciplined children because we'd been beat.
Yeah.
So we didn't act out. I didn't get in trouble. I didn't drink alcohol till I was 21. I didn't listen to secular music. I didn't cuss. Like I was
Yeah.
a perfect child. You see what I'm saying? So like for me,
Mhm.
like I can't like there weren't rule. I mean, we just knew how to live, and that was that. I mean, like we were
Yeah.
indoctrinated that this is like.
That
So
was
for
just
me, it was
life.
just
Yep.
yeah. Growing up, it wasn't bad until I was out of it, and then I was like, oh my God, we were abused.
And honestly,
Like,
it's almost as though because I was so sheltered as a child that I didn't realize how differently other kids got to live, right? I didn't
Yes.
realize that I was missing out on so much stuff. I didn't, because everything that we were experiencing was normal for us. All of
Mhm.
our friends that we were around experienced the same things. They had the same parents that had the same rules. It was normal for them to not be able to listen to secular music or watch the latest Disney movie, right? We weren't allowed to because all that stuff was deemed evil. And
yeah,
it was, again, it was normal for us.
there
Like
was a
cussing
world
was,
out there that
yes,
existed we knew nothing
we knew
about.
nothing about.
Nothing.
You know,
And the reason that we knew nothing about it is because we were indoctrinated to say you do not wander out there because it is
yes,
evil.
it is evil.
Yes.
No, the evil's sitting inside your buildings, honey. Because the moment I
Yes,
like, it's a wonderful place out here, y'all. It is so great out here.
it is so
Say
great.
that again for the people in the back of the
Yes,
room,
it
please,
is
Zach.
so much better out here, y'all.
Y'all,
Promise.
they are wonderful.
So this
I
actually
think
is kind of perfect, though. It leads into the next question. So, at what point did you start realizing that what you were experiencing wasn't normal or healthy?
Um, I was I was in second grade, and I had a crush on a boy. I mean, like it was. I didn't know what it was. I didn't. But I knew everything in me knew that I wasn't supposed to be that way, but I didn't know why. You know what I'm saying? Like it was
Yeah.
like, and that is the part that I fight so hard on, and that's one of the reasons that I have the issues that I do with my family today. I was 7. I'm going through therapy talking about these things. And, my therapist, the first thing she told me was, you played a fictional character your entire life. You're
oh,
so terrified of rejection because you had to play a fictional character. And if you slipped up one time, somebody would find out. Like, and that was the weight of the world. The moment I knew what it's for me, if you can explain to me why something is, I can instantly click. And then it's like I can move past. Like, my brain is
Yeah.
so weird. Um, but I was at the place in therapy that I'm going back and thinking about myself as a 7 year old. Well, at that time, my oldest nephew was 7, and I had an amazing, like my relationship with my nephews was, I was very close. And the first thing that I thought was, I couldn't imagine him sitting in school with that weight on him. And I was like, nobody knew, but they knew. Like my mom will say, I
Yeah.
was 99.9% sure you were gay, but I held on to that 0.1% chance. And
Yes,
I looked
because
at her and
she's
I
a
said,
Christian parent. Yep.
I said, so you watched me suffer my whole life. You watched me struggle. You watched me carry
Wow.
this weight. You watched me shake in church in fear. You watched me my whole life. Teachers would tell you he's not a bad guy. He's not a bad student. He just doesn't pay attention. I can't get him to pay attention for nothing.
Yeah.
Well, no, fuck. I'm over here trying to solve how to get out of hell
Yep.
as a 7 year old. Like, what person can sit and learn English in school when you're up here trying to figure out how you're not going to burn in hell, and every day is a day you don't have to figure it out? Like, and they have you
Yep.
so concerned that it's happening tomorrow. The rapture's coming
Oh,
today.
yes.
You live in this, any moment it could happen. And any moment you're trying to figure out what you're going to say to God. If you like, you're trying to figure out all these different scenarios because you don't know what way it's going to play out. You don't know if you're going to go
Yes.
die and talk to him first. You don't know if he's going to come back and you're going to be left on the earth for 7 years of tribulation on your own. Like,
Exactly.
do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes,
And
we
I
do know
remember
sorry, I
that.
get
like
on rabbit trail. Like, we'll go. You got to keep me on.
And I
Sorry.
remember having just so much anxiety about having any hidden sin that I didn't know about that
Oh,
I would literally pray repentance prayers over and over and over obsessively because I was so afraid that, oh, what if I get into a car accident today when I'm going out taking my kids to school? I better say a prayer real quick just in case. Like, seriously, that because you are so afraid that at
mhm.
any moment you could die and then be in hellfire.
I
Like,
I can remember being so tired at night. I mean, because you got to think, mentally exhausted. I'm
Mhm.
talking mentally exhausted every single night. And I would lay down in my bed. And this is why the Delilah thing is just that, like that for me. I would listen to Delilah on the radio every single night. While she follows me on social media, like
I loved
her and I,
her.
like
I loved her
when
though.
I tell you, that is for me, that is my full circle moment. There are other celebrities that have, engaged with me and thanked me for
Yeah.
telling my, like I've had it. Like Sophia Bush has even, like, commented on my stuff on other people's pages. It's been
Yeah.
shared out and stuff. But Delilah, for me, every night I would listen to Delilah while I would fight trying to fall asleep, because if you fell asleep, that might be it, and you're going to wake up in hell.
Yeah.
Because if you die, you're going to hell. Like, so you're trying to stay
Mhm.
awake. You're trying, like, you're doing your defense. And I would, like, and every night that's what I would listen to, that would bring my anxiety down to the point I would finally fall asleep by the end of her show at midnight, to wake up at 6:30 in the morning, just to do it all over again.
I
Every
remember laying in bed at night, as a little kid, seeing demons outside my bedroom window, being terrified that the rapture was coming. Like, and I'm like, I was a little kid. You had me so convinced that all of this was real that you had me seeing shit that wasn't even there and being afraid of that fake shit that I was seeing. Like, and I'm like, that is so messed up to do that to a kid, like an innocent
Ah,
child that doesn't know any better, you know?
they
I was
literally have their kids terrified of their all loving God.
Yes.
right,
Please
right.
explain that to me. Like,
Yep.
Please.
I laugh because I say that evangelical children have God in a loophole, because, and this is the truth, because, and you two might even say, oh my God, I did that too. I would say God's coming back today because they say God, nobody knows the time or day. In my mind, I would say, okay, today's the day God's coming back. And that would buy my
Yep.
whole, I'd be like, well, he can't come back today because I predicted it. Mm. And I feel like these children, I feel like the evangelical children have God in a loophole, and he can't come back. Even if he is real, he can't come back,
Yeah.
because they're every day they get up and say today's that they've
Yep.
tricked them. Like, think about it. Like,
Because there's a new prediction
there are
every
so
week.
many other people that was like, oh my God, that was my prayer every day. He's coming back today. It would buy me one more day to figure out my defense. Like,
Yeah, and do you know I was 35 years old when I woke up one morning, because every day of my life I would pray, God, please forgive me for anything my mouth may say today. Forgive me for any unclean thoughts. Forgive me for anything that I do throughout the day that is not godly and holy. And I realized now, looking back, I was like, I was 35 years old and still trying to make sure that everything I did was prayed for before I started my day.
And not
I
just that, you're asking God to forgive you for your humanity, for just
I
being
Right.
was
freaking human. Like, God, please forgive me for actually having a thought that's my own.
so
Like,
when I
you
was
know?
12 at Bible camp, when I was 12, I remember sitting down with my youth pastor, Chad, and I said, I went to him and I said, I don't think I'm saved. And he was like, Zach, you're saved. You've been baptized, all this. And I said, I wasn't going to come out and say, well, I think boys are cute and this is why I don't think I'm saved.
Yeah.
But, I'm like, I'm telling you, I don't think I'm saved. And he was like, you know what? He said, let's pray on it. So he sits me down and prays and says, God, if Zach is truly not saved, don't allow him to sleep at all tonight.
Oh,
The next
no.
morning, the next morning I go to breakfast and he looks at me and he goes, how'd you sleep? And I said, like a baby. He said, I think you're good. And in my mind I went, no, because I want to do dirty things with this boy over here. Don't tell me, don't tell me I'm good, because this is telling me I'm not. I'm just not fessing up to it. But this ain't this ain't matching. 1 + 1 is not two here. Like, and that's the fucked up shit that you deal with. If God won't take it away, and you're doing everything the instruction manual says, you got a defect. God made
Exactly.
you. He messed up when he made you. If the instruction manual won't, if what they say to troubleshoot it won't fix it, then he fucked up when he made the. It's a
Yeah.
It's like the Bible says in Psalms, God loves a broken and a contrite spirit, and he despises the defiant. I was always told that I was a defiant child and I was a rebellious child. And so my whole life, I was like always praying to become more broken because I was so defiant. And didn't even know what defiant meant, but I just knew that I was defiant because I always got the switch or the leather strap. And it's like, oh, which one am I supposed to be here? I was
Yep.
like in a state of confusion from the time I was
And what's
5.
crazy when we look at Jesus, his entire ministry was just him being defiant.
Yeah,
I
A
mean, it
raging
really
liberal,
was.
in my opinion.
Yep. Like,
right. Let's go there.
The
you
one of the funniest things is one of my music teacher, or not teacher, our music at church. She did our children's choir. Her and I are still really good friends to this day. And we went to breakfast, or we went to brunch one day, and she looked at me and she said, Zach, she said, I'm gonna have to tell you. She said, you're one of the most Christ-like people I know. And I looked at her and I said, please don't say that. They killed him. I was like, please, like, don't.
and Zach, just to let you know, I always say, because I was raised with that Christian nationalist mentality, that I am such a better person as an atheist than I ever was as a Christian. And I tell people all the time, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I was like that during those days, because I'm one of those that deconstructed, and when I learned better, oh, I did better the day I walked out
yes.
of that church, and I'm a better person today. I'm more compassionate, empathetic, and loving than I ever was when I was supposed to be Christ-like.
Yep.
Yeah. So you shared that when you came out, your parents threatened conversion therapy involving electrodes. What did it feel like to hear that from people who were supposed to protect you?
Ugh. This one, okay, so this is something that I've been processing here a lot lately. And this is, I have not really spoke on the details of conversion therapy. And one of the things, with me specifically, there are a lot of times that I have survivor's guilt, for me. Conversion therapy for me, I was very, very stubborn. I was over the age of 18, so they could not force me into anything. For me, in the beginning, it was I have to be willing to at least meet them halfway to ever see if they're going to change their mind on this topic. And that's kind of how it started. What that originally started with was just counseling with the pastor. Now, my mom was having an affair with the pastor the entire time. And when I say that affair came out, I wasn't even shocked. The whole dynamic of that situation in my mind was so weird. My mom and dad were best friends with the pastor and his wife. Like, when I tell you, I've been on vacation to Hilton Head, every Tennessee home football game, tailgating together, sitting together. I mean, our lives were intertwined. I mean,
Yeah.
like, in the beginning, before they put me in conversion therapy, me and my boyfriend would go play Phase 10 at the pastor's house with my mom and dad. Like, I mean, we go play Phase 10 and have dinner for out. Like, the whole dynamic was very weird. You've got to realize the president of the Southern Baptist Convention is somebody that would come and speak at our church. And that wasn't just like, oh, we got to hear him speak. No, we went and had dinner with him afterwards. Like, these are people like,
Mhm.
the president of the Southern Baptist Convention at the time was telling them what to do to me. I did not feel like there was anyone to protect me because when the when the top of the top is saying this is what's got to happen. So I literally, when I tell you, I thought they would kill me if I didn't do what they said. And I know that that sounds extreme, but I'm telling you, I thought they would kill me. And
Yes.
like, so they started with, it started with the pastor, and then it became, I remember it was Mustard Seed Ministries, and his name's Stan Leonard, and it's a reformed homosexual therapist. I went 2 times. The first time I went, did my appointment, and then I never went back. And my parents thought I was going. I wasn't going. And it was just kind of like this teeter-totter thing that I was like, I'm just going to see how long this can go because I ain't going to therapy, but pretending like I am. And we're making progress. You know what I mean? Like it was like what I later found out was the therapist. So, they put my boyfriend in conversion therapy before me. They got him terrified. He'd never been in church, none of that. Like they got him scared of hell, and then he went straight into conversion therapy willingly. Because
Wow.
he went, then that was how, I went in.
Yeah.
In the beginning, the therapist was bringing the report back to the pastor. The pastor was telling my parents, this whole time they thought it was me going to therapy. It was my boyfriend Nick. The therapist was telling the pastor about Nick's therapy
Oh
sessions.
no.
So that's why my parents weren't. So then when Nick finally quit, Nick comes to me and he's like, "This is bogus. I'm out." And I'm like, "What do you mean you're out? Like you've already made me get into this. Like I can't just. You're not going to lose anything. I lose everything. Like this is not like I was so mad at him. Like."
Yeah.
So mad at him because it was like we were going to be in a relationship. We weren't. We weren't. It was my first love. I mean, it was they fucked with our feelings, and I mean, like
Yeah.
it's horrible what they do in there. So he ends up like coming out of it, and I'm like, okay, you're gonna have to give me time. Like I got to figure, I got to figure my part out. Well, when Nick quit going to therapy, the reports stopped coming to the pastor, which means my parents stopped getting reports. So then they go in to check for it, and he was like, "No, I'm not seeing Nick anymore." And he's like, "Nick, no, we're talking about Zach." And he was like, "Oh, he's not been back
Oh
since
no. Yeah,
Oh
they added
no.
you. Oh
his first
no.
session." And I was like, so my mom calls me one day and she calls me at work and she says, "You have a therapy appointment at 10 o'clock in the morning and you will be there." I said, "I have work." And she said, "You have therapy at 10 o'clock in the morning and you will be there." I was a loan officer at a credit union, and I'm
Wow.
terrified of my own mother that I call in sick to work to go to this conversion therapy appointment.
Wow.
And the therapist that I walked out 10 minutes in, I was like, and it was my breaking point. I was done. I had done this teeter-totter thing. We had I go in and I sit down, and the therapist looks at me. Now, keep in mind, my mom is having an affair with the pastor. So the conclusion, because my mom and dad has been going and seeing this therapist, like behind my back, like they were going and having meetings with him. So they
Wow.
had a meeting with him, then I go to therapy, whatever. And he sits down and he says, "Well, your mom and the pastor thinks that that this has stemmed from, you didn't play sports growing up, so your dad didn't love you as much as your other brothers, and this is why you're gay. This is your dad's fault."
Oh my God.
And and I was
Wow.
like,
Zach.
I said, "Excuse me?" And he said, "This is your dad's fault." And I said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa." I said, "I didn't play sports." Yes, I agree. I did not play sports. And my mom's best friend's daughter, we grew up together and all that. She will tell you, in fifth grade, I quit. I was in basketball. I quit. I walked out of the gym. I sat down in the hallway beside her, and she was like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I hate basketball. I don't, Tyler
Yeah.
and Brandon, they love it. They're good at it. I don't like it. I don't want to play it." And she said, "Are you playing because you think you have to?" And I was like, she's like, "Are you playing because you think your dad wants you to play?" And I was like, "God, no, he could care less." Like, and Lacey had that conversation with me later on to be like, "You were not concerned about your dad." It was my mom. It was my mom that I was,
Yes.
and I do now understand this. My dad, if you ask my dad, what did Zach do growing up that made you proud? My dad will list off every single fine arts accomplishment I had in my career or in my childhood through school because my dad was at every single thing that I did. If my brothers had a basketball game and I had a fine arts something on this at the same time, do you know who would miss the basketball games to make sure that they were there to watch me? My dad.
Your dad.
My dad.
Mm.
My mom was ashamed of her little gay son that wouldn't play sports and wanted
Wow.
to do the girly things. Girly because I wanted to sing and play musical instruments. Like fuck you. Like
Yeah.
Right.
so I'm sitting here and I'm enraged because you've got to realize the man having an affair with my mom has already tried to convince me it's my dad's fault and I need to hate my dad and I need to have all this anger towards my dad because until you can blame something, you're never going to get better. And they wanted to blame my dad. My mom, who didn't like him apparently because she's having an affair, and the man she's having an affair with, they're and so I looked at that therapist and I said, I'm done. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done with all of this. And I walked out
Mhm.
and I said, you can bill my mom for this. I'm not paying for it. And I left. And we,
Send
we
her
had
the
a mission
bill.
trip. It was a church mission trip. And the only reason I went on that trip was to say bye to some of the translators that I knew personally from the year. I knew I was leaving. I knew that
Yeah.
this was my last thing. And on that trip, my mom, she was doing women's ministry stuff, and we were in a taxi cab going to get things at the store. And we were sitting in the back of the cab, and she said, there's this really good program out of the country that you can go do mission work. And she said, I think you're destined. I think this is what you need to do. I think God has a purpose for your life, and I think that this is it. And I looked at her and I said, I have a career. I am a I'm a consumer lending officer. I'm 21 years old. I'm a consumer lending officer sitting in line to be a branch manager at one of the largest credit unions in this country. And you want me to quit my job and move out of the country and be a missionary? Like, do you understand? You should be proud of me. I am
Yeah.
21
Right.
years old, sitting at a place that adults would kill for.
Hmm.
Like, and everything in me, I knew. And she said, but Johnny Hunt, he's gonna get you a spot. And I was everything in me knew this is no, this is I knew that there would come a day that I would say enough is enough, and I would walk away if they did not give in. If they did not decide to let it go and love me, I would hit a breaking point and I would walk away. And I hit that point. I mean,
Yeah.
and I remember I emailed Nick and I was like, get all my stuff out of the house. I'm gonna change my flight coming back. Pick me up at the airport. I said, "You're gonna like, I have to escape. They're not if I would, they were tracking my phone. Like I was
Wow.
being tracked everywhere I went. If I left work and was not home in the amount of time, like they tracked me. Like I was being. It was after they caught me lying about going to the therapy, and like the weekend
Yeah.
conferences and things like that. The Exodus International is like, I didn't have no choice in that. I mean, that was just going with my mom. Like, my mom and dad, and those were like, but like Nick picked me up. I'm going through all this stuff. There's a message on my Facebook where one of the people on the mission trip had left a comment and was like, "I wish I'd have taken that earlier flight with you. We got delayed even more." And I'm like, "It's so crazy. That flight was an escape. I tricked my dad into changing my ticket so that I could get picked up with nobody around and escape you all.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
think back on that and I'm like, that's how scared
Wow.
I was. I
Yeah.
had to
Yeah.
escape.
And these are your own family members. And
Yes,
that's the sad part is that
you know,
this is your family, the people that you
on
should be able to trust most in the world, your religious community. And none of those people are the people that you actually could trust when the rubber met the road.
on that flight from Nicaragua back to Atlanta, and Atlanta was where I got the earlier flight out. They're bringing a group of people, 50 people through. A group of 50 can't get through at customs and on a plane in an hour, but one person can. That's how I got my escape. I changed my flight to not have that big layover with them. I went on. And on that flight coming into Atlanta, I'll never forget. I was hungry and I didn't have any cash. I was needed to pay with a card, and they only took cash on the plane. And I remember my mom bought me a deli snack pack on the plane because she had cash, and I felt bad for taking it and eating it because I knew
Yeah.
I was late. Like I felt
Yeah.
guilt
Right.
for my
Right.
mom feeding me.
Yeah.
Like,
So, what surprised you the most about the world once you were on the outside of the cult and that mindset and that way of viewing the world?
oh God, that's not something I've ever really talked about. The church says that the gays are taking their kids. Um, and that angers me. I've seen Tennessee state representatives say it from committee hearing meetings. The gays are stealing kids from the church. And that is when I spoke up. You got to realize I went through this in 2009.
Yep. So
It's
this
been
is
almost 20
recent. Like,
years.
and even though it's 2009, though, we have to let people know this is still happening
Well,
right now,
I thought it quit.
today,
Yes.
I
you
got
know?
comfortable with Obama in
Yeah.
office. thought it quit, you know. I thought, oh, we finally quit attacking the gays. We finally realized they're just normal human like I
Yes.
until 2016, I didn't have any fear. I
Yeah.
wasn't scared of anything. And like I'll tell you now, I am looking at the people that were in charge of what happened to me that are now sitting in power
Yeah.
running our country. And like and people think that I'm crazy for this. I'm not. I was in high school as part of a student leadership university training program from the Southern Baptist Convention, evangelical Christians, bringing these kids through leadership programs to put them into Congress to take over the government. Like they were doing that in 2004.
Yes.
Yes.
And that
Yep.
program is still running. Look up the website, 4-year program. They're still
Yep.
doing it. And I'm like, for me back then, it was like, oh my God, they can never take over the government. 535 people is all they need out of 50,000 churches.
Yep.
I was like, oh my God, that's the most simple thing ever. Like, so I know I'm off topic. What was the question
No.
again?
What surprised you the most about the
Oh,
world
about the
once you were on
world.
the outside?
I mean, that was it. You know, the church did what they did to me. By the time the church got done with me, I had gone from a consumer lending officer waiting to be a branch manager to sitting in a hospital. Do I need to have my stomach pumped?
Oh. Mm. Yep. See, that
Like,
was me, Zachary. I
Yes.
I had the fuzzy socks, dude. The fuzzy socks was my breaking
bro,
point.
I've
You
had them
know?
twice. Like, it's, you know what I'm
Like,
saying? Like,
and
it's,
people are like, "Oh, well, religion didn't do that to you. People did." No, it's the foundation of the faith, honey.
what did the
It
people
starts
use to do
from
it
the
to us?
foundation.
Religion. What did they
Yes.
use to do it to us? I had to watch Pray Away the other day for
Oh,
some things that I'm working on, and I had not seen that. And Pray Away I didn't realize it was about Exodus International. I did not,
Yeah.
I knew it was about conversion therapy. I didn't know it was about my conversion therapy.
Yes.
When I tell you 10 minutes in, I was so angry at looking
Yes.
at these people. I get it. They apologized. They said you all lied on stages and
Yep.
gave them ammunition to say you can change. And it gave them the ammunition to look at us and say, you just want to be a pervert. I
Yep.
can't tell you how many times they looked at me and said, you just want to be a pervert. Do you know how angering it is when somebody looks at you after you have spent your entire life
Life.
begging
yes.
that sky daddy in the sky to take it away and he won't. And then you want to come at me and say, you have taken everything from me. To
Yep.
this point of my life, you have taken everything because up until now, the all my life has been is your sky daddy and how much he hates me and it has to be his fault because I've
Yep.
done everything you've told me.
And he
Like,
hates you,
but
but
he
he
don't make
doesn't.
mistakes.
Yeah.
It's you and
And
you can
and
change.
and he hates the gays, but he doesn't hate the pedophiles. He doesn't hate the murderers. He doesn't hate, the rapists. Like, because we hear them talking about the gays more than they talk about anybody else. And they
And
always blame the gays for hurting kids when we know that
It's
statistics
not true.
do not say that it's the gays.
let's
Like,
just
come
say
on.
this, it's the white cis men that are sitting behind the pulpits that are the ones that are doing the atrocities and the things to little children
Yeah.
and that are the perverts, that are the ones that are the pedophiles. It's the men sitting on the pews and it's the women sitting next to them that are making sure that the accountability and the punishment is going towards the victims.
Yep.
And I mean, back to this question. I mean, the question is, when you got out into the world, and I said it was the church took me from here to here,
Yes.
and then threw me in the streets and said, "You're just broken," and until you and pray for a famine to come into your life. It was then and only then that the gay community came and wrapped their arms around me and picked me up and helped me get back to the place that they destroyed me from. So for me to hear a evangelical Christian say the gays are stealing our children, they're indoctrinating, no, the gays didn't do anything. I never had a gay try to make me be gay, but I had Christians say I needed to be electrocuted because apparently God didn't fix me the right way. And when I wouldn't let them electrocute me, they threw me out. And then, and only then, did a gay person come and they didn't try to convince me to be gay. I was just already gay and they picked
Yeah.
me up and loved me. So when that is why the attack on the gay community irritates me so bad. I understand their whole flamboyant, we're always out protesting. Like they don't get it. They don't
Yep.
understand what we've been through. They don't understand what pride celebration's about.
No, they
All they
don't.
see pride about
They
is just
don't.
sex. That's all they see. And I don't
Yes.
understand why are they so obsessed with sex? Like,
Yes.
Yep.
For
why?
people that talk about purity a lot, they are
I think
awfully
that's
hung
why they're
up
so
on
obsessed with
sex.
sex. I
Yes,
genuinely
it
think that they
is.
are indoctrinating the sex
Yes.
obsession because as children, they are telling us this is the greatest thing in the world, but you can't do it till marriage.
But not
Mm-hmm.
just that, they don't even have healthy sexual expressions within their
No,
own marriages because
no.
they
No.
are so restricted in what it is they are and are not allowed to enjoy and what it is you can and cannot do because you don't do these things if you're a Christian. I'm a freak in the sheets. I'll just be honest with you, okay? I like to have fun in my
Girl,
bedroom. That cross around my neck doesn't change when just because I'm in the bedroom. Jesus can watch me do all the freaky stuff. I don't care. But being married
honey, he
doesn't
made
mean
us
you can't
freaks.
be
You know,
exactly. Like
I
I'm
just
like
have to say this.
I'm
That's why I
honestly
love
like
Heather.
it's 2026. Like
Right.
why are we still shaming people for healthy sexual expression when there's consent that's there,
Yep.
you know? We're normal, we're human. I'm not going to shame you for that. Just as long as you aren't hurting anybody, I don't give a crap what you do behind closed doors. It ain't my business.
Right,
Right?
Like have you some fun.
high controlled religions are so focused on sexuality and making sure it
Yes.
stays separate and making sure they control what underclothing you wear, what kind of bras you have on, what kind of positions you're in inside the bedroom.
Yes.
How
I
do
mean,
you please your
think
husband? We would have women conferences and we would make sure that we would be taught on what to do to please your husbands and how you were supposed to act. And the older women had to teach the younger women. It was all about inappropriate conversations of sexuality.
And
like I
literally
mean,
the
think about it this
conversations
way.
that they had with us though was literally just lay down and get raped. That's what the
Right.
conversations were. Every time
Every,
he comes to you, you just lay down and get raped.
I
That's
had,
it.
my children's church director or the children's church teacher, and when I was at the church where they preach about me from the stage, and I mean that like they will lit they I mean I and
Mhm.
don't get me wrong, I mean I got their minister of music fired because he gave me a, you know, and it's like and like here's the thing, these people need to understand. I know all these things,
Yeah.
and I don't go around talking about them. I don't go around just
Mm-hmm.
you gotta come poke the bear before the bear's ever gonna say anything. And by
Yes.
God, all you gotta do is just leave me alone. Just
Yes.
leave me alone. If you don't like what I have to say, scroll. If you don't like what I have to talk about, don't talk about it. Let me be. What I am so irritated is about is the thing that these people are so obsessed with is my sex life, which I don't even
Yes.
talk about on
Yes.
my social
I don't
media.
either. I don't either.
Okay,
Like it's
but the things
ridiculous.
that I am doing in life, foster care, domestic violence, homelessness, the things that I'm actually working on, and like so many people are like, oh, he's just trying to like. I'm talking real solutions that I have fought to bring
Yes.
these programs
Yes.
together that are
Yep.
already. You're talking programs that are already proven that work that we're expanding on by doing these things. I'm not trying to invent the reinvent the wheel. We're trying to
Yeah.
bring all the people that are struggling together to do something massive. And I'm like, that is what I put all of my energy into. That is what you see me dedicating my time to. That's what you see
Yeah.
all of my energy into. That's all you hear me talk about. This is my passion. And you can't get over the fact that I think men are attractive. What is like I could understand if all I talked about was being gay or hot men. Like
Yeah.
I don't even talk about it. You are the one
No,
that puts
they
that
talk
on
about
me.
us being gay more than we do. Like it's crazy.
Like I have never met a minister. Like I was looking back at an old clip of my pastor that I grew up in, and we were at a youth conference meeting, and he was describing to like 1,000 youth why, if you had your elbows showing, it was a distraction because it made sure it promoted your boobies.
Oh my God.
That is why we had to wear long sleeves. And he got up in front of it, and it is on YouTube right now. His name is Roger Evans, and he was teaching godliness to the young people, and he said that if your elbows show, it brings attention to your breast. Are you
My
kidding me?
So what he's saying is he's just a dirty old creep. Like
Yeah,
that's all he's saying is
Right.
a dirty old creep. Because if an elbow is getting you feeling that kind of way,
they
you need
all
help, buddy.
are. They
You need
all are.
help.
My youth pastor had an affair with his reception. Like when I tell you the thing inside the church is affairs.
Yes, it is. It
Mm-hmm.
is. It
And
is.
and and, and this is how they handled that. The youth pastor, he got shipped off to Johnny Hunt's church to be reformed and
Yeah.
put back into ministry.
Yep.
The assistant that he had an affair with, she got drug up on the stage and humiliated in front of the whole church.
Yes, because they always humiliate the woman and the man gets a pass.
Yep.
They always do that. Yep.
You're all, and not only that, you're not only called up to the platform, you are forced to confess your sins to the church. So
I'll,
you have to go through all of it.
that's what they threatened me with. We will pull you up and tell everybody what you've done. And in my mind, I was like, I never thought if you don't go back, they can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, and,
Yeah.
and so like I was when Nick and I would have those conversations, Nick finally says one day, he was like, Zach, you understand if you don't go in the building and give them the ability to drag you on the stage, it will never
Yeah.
happen. And then I was just like, and I think in my mind, it was just like, how are you ready to leave that? It's like you have to be ready to leave everything that you know, everyone that you have to be willing to go into the world alone that you have been told is
Evil.
evil. Like it wasn't this like it wasn't this just simple thing.
Yeah.
It was a process. And I mean it's like you're talking, these are the most important people in your life that are supposed to protect you that are doing this harm to you.
And most of the
Yeah.
time you've been raised with them. So you don't, I didn't have extended family. We were not allowed to associate with Egypt. So we were not allowed to have grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles. We had to ask permission to go to a funeral. That's the only time I
Yeah.
saw my extended family. So the people inside that congregation were my aunts, were my uncles, were my nieces, were my nephews, were my best friends. We did not have people outside in the world
That was the
that were
same way
any
for
of those
us. Yep.
things.
See,
Um
my family,
yep.
my grandparents were in it. My mom's mom and dad, her sister, my cousin.
Mhm.
I only have one cousin on my mom's side. Now, my dad's side, my dad's parents were Democrats. Democrats back then is different now, but I never heard my mamaw or papa ever talk about gay things. Like, now my mom's side, that's all like, and I think a lot of it was intentional. I
Yeah.
think they were trying to make me
Mhm.
understand we will never be okay with this. And I remember, like, when I came back from that mission trip, left with Nick, and my mom texted me that night and she said, I guess you've made your decision.
Mhm.
And I said, I have. I mean, clearly. And what that was I was not, I, during conversion therapy, I had to live with my mom and dad. That was part of the stipulations of going through this. You will
Yeah.
live here. And so when I didn't come home, I mean, that was what made it clear. I didn't text. They came back. My brothers and my dad, we had tickets to go see a Tennessee football game that weekend. And my brother Tyler, texted me and he said, can we please, go with us? It'll be fine. Me, you, Brandon, and dad. So I get there. Well, my mom and my other sister-in-law are going with us too. And like, they're gonna go shopping while we're at the game. And I just kind of thought, nah, I don't really know how I feel about this. And that night when we got back was the night that we pulled in the driveway and my mom said, everybody, let's go inside real quick. And I mean, you're talking, it's 11 o'clock at night. I got to be at work the next day at 7 a.m. And that's the night my mom sat me down in the living room and made each one of them disown me to my face. She said, we're not
Oh
going to
Wow.
my
do this.
God.
You're not
Yeah.
going to be in a relationship with Nick and live with Nick and have your relationship with us. So you're telling me
Wow.
that you picked Nick, and she said, you need to go. We don't ever want to hear from you again. And now keep in mind, I had been living with them. Now, Nick had got everything out of my house that I'd been living in while I was gone on the mission trip. They didn't know that part. But
Yeah.
I had my stuff at my mom and dad's that I had brought over this, 6 month period of conversion therapy stuff that I'd been living with them. So she looked at me and she said, what you don't take with you tonight goes to Goodwill tomorrow, and we don't ever want to see you again. And I
Oh
mean, it's
my
now like 1 o'clock in the
gosh.
morning after this long conversation of everybody crying and how like, and I'm just sitting there like, you got to be kidding me. Like, and I know the only reason that everybody else in my family agreed to say to me what my mom told them to say is because my mom controls everybody in that family except me. Tyler
Yeah.
went straight to his girlfriend's house and laid in her lap and cried. And he said, I don't even know why I agreed to what she said. He said, I love Nick. We've been on vacation with Nick. I don't even care that Zach's gay. Like, I don't love him any. Like, Tyler's like, I don't even know why I
Yeah.
did it, but I feel horrible that I just sat there and did it.
Because
And I,
they
and
were
I,
trained to comply. That's
and I told
why.
him, I said, Tyler, don't ever. I said, I know how you feel. I said, you were the first one that knew. I said, you didn't even tell. I said, do not ever go against her. I know what it's like. I know what you're going to deal
Yeah.
with if you go against
Mhm.
her. I was like, I don't care. Like, it's just, and
Yeah. And you have to be willing. Like I didn't know that once I stepped over the thresholds of the doors of that apostolic Christian church, right? That was a lifetime decision. I
Yep.
thought people there loved me. I thought they knew that I wasn't lying, but 30 years later, I finally see my brothers and sisters, or my two of my brothers for the first time back in August. And their comments to me was, I will always be your brother, but don't ever think I'll be your friend. And I'm like, after 30 years. Now, mind you, my dad's still sitting on the inside of that church. They told me I desecrated holy ground by even walking inside that cult.
It's
And I
crazy.
just sat there and looked at him. I was like, so I understand that when you make those decisions, you don't realize that it's going to be 30 years later and you're going to see your brothers for the first time. Never saw a picture, never had a text, didn't even know who they were when they walked up to me. And they didn't know who I was when they walked up to introduce themselves to me in church and just thank me. Oh, it's so good to have you. What is your name? We're so thankful you were here tonight. And I looked at him. I said, so what is your name? And he said, Tobias. And I'm like, and your last name? He said, Buchanan. And I said, oh, he goes, and your name? I'm like, I am your big sister, Tamara. And he instantly looked like he got punched in the gut and started crying. And then,
Wow.
of course, the comments were, I will always be your brother, but I will never be your friend. And I was like, it's been 30 years. I didn't think you were going to be my friend. But the reason why I'm saying that, Zach, is that so many people don't realize how much they're losing.
No, they don't.
They just don't have an idea because they
And
think, oh, well, you're going to be loved. No, you're
No, you're
not. And
not.
then that ruins you for the rest of your life of trusting anybody to be loved again.
Because they view you as a
Yeah.
traitor. You're a
yeah,
defector, you're
Right?
the only one who decided to challenge the system and go against what it is
That-
that they believe is ultimate truth. Even if it
Right.
does cause harm, they don't care.
for me, it just came down to I don't want to live a lie. I'm not
Yeah,
going to
Right.
like I can lie to you all, but I can't lie to God. And
yeah,
if that's the ultimate, like I'm not going to live in misery for
No.
something I know that I'm doomed. I can do what I can do with my life on this planet, and that's why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. And there are so many people. I will tell you this. There are
yes,
so many people that will tell you he's only doing this because he's trying to get into heaven. I
yeah,
Hmm.
When I
yeah,
tell you building homes, I this is how I came to this conclusion. I knew how grant funding worked because I dated a guy that worked at the YMCA as the Healthy Living Director. And every year he got a $125,000 grant from the state to put on an 8 week weight loss competition in town that was a known thing. It was a biggest loser thing. There were like two teams. They did week, like I participated in it. So I
yeah,
understood you can just go and get grant funding. What I love to do is develop housing. When I tell you my passion is to literally take property or projects, go to the city and get approval, and then oversee the entire project. That is my career. I
yeah,
love the work that I do. I get to take the client out of it and build for people, kids that need it, and give them like when I tell you this is my dream job, it has
yeah.
nothing to do with trying to get into heaven. Like I'm the most selfish person in the world for wanting to build housing for at-risk youth. Like I
Yeah,
will tell you that right now. I don't provide the projects. I don't provide the resources. I build it and move on.
yeah,
All I'm going to do for the rest of my life is do exactly what I want to do, which is build housing. I just get to direct
yeah,
which that housing goes to. Like I'm selfish. Like
yeah.
I'm not trying to get into heaven.
Right. No, no.
But I will tell you one thing. I am so ready for that judgment day because I don't think I'm ever going to get it. Because I got a lot of things I want to ask that motherfucker in the sky. A
That is
lot of things.
exactly that is exactly what I've always said. I was like, put me at first in the line because it's going to take a long time because I've got a
Yeah.
lot of questions.
And the thing about it is they will be, I think it, like, I call him a motherfucker in the sky. And when I tell you, I think he laughs at that. I'm telling you, God gave me my personality. He gave me my humor.
Yes,
And I think he laughs at the reason I call him
yes,
a motherfucker in the sky. And I
yes,
will tell you, it is the easiest way to keep the bad ones away. The easiest.
Easiest.
yes,
It's all
yes.
I have to do is blaspheme one time and I'm going straight to hell with them. So just let me continue the project.
Listen, I will tell you this. If the people that are going into heaven are the people that did what they did to me, I will take burning in hell for all eternity because living with them it's worse. I would rather burn for eternity than be in their company. And that should say something about those people.
That is what I've said for
Yes.
30 years. If the only people going to heaven is the 150 people sitting in that West Palm Beach Apostolic Christian
I don't want
Church,
to freaking be there.
I'm gladly going to hell. Sign me up and let me get ready for the party.
Burning in hell would have
Yes.
been easier than my
Yes.
childhood. And
Hey.
here's the other thing you got to understand. I grew up privileged. I grew up with my own bedroom and bathroom. I never went hungry. I had name brand clothes. I had a nice car when I turned 16. I was in an indoctrinate. When I tell you I should have been a happy child. I never went without anything. I had Christmas every day, like a birthday. Like I should have been a
Yes.
happy child. And I understand where my mom is coming from. When you had a good childhood, I did.
Yeah.
I was taken care of. I wasn't loved. That's a
Exactly.
big
My dad, he
difference.
loves to say, "Oh, well, we gave you everything. You had
Mhm.
everything you needed." I didn't have love. I didn't
My
have an emotionally mature parent. I
my
had
mom,
somebody who beat my self esteem down into the ground and told me I was worthless garbage. I had an abuser instead of a parent. And
And the
that's
only
not the
time
same.
And the only time they told you they loved you was after they beat you to death. And then they would say, you know, this hurts me more than it hurts you.
Hurt
Come
you.
here and give me a hug. I don't remember any hugs from my mama growing up just because
I
she loved me.
my dad, I see this is the difference in my mom and my dad, and they are how they are still together. And my mom and my dad, they're different as night and day. The
Yeah.
last conversation I had with my mom was my ended with my mom looking at me, telling me, "You're pure evil, and I knew it the day I birthed you." The last
Uh,
conversation I had with my dad was I told my dad, I said, "I know the sacrifices that you've made in life." I said,
Yeah.
I was 33 or 34 years old. I said, "I know, and I want to thank." I said, "Thank you." And I said, "I'm really sorry that there are sacrifices that you made that did damage to me. I'm sorry that I said, I can't imagine what that is like for you to know that you went without to have things for me that did damage to me." And my dad, I was so happy to know. My dad looked at me and he said, "It's funny." He said, "Brandon was about this age when he came and thanked me." And he said it was about this time last year that Tyler, my middle brother, came and thanked me. And he said, "And now you." He said, "All of you all did this about the same age in your life." And that meant a lot to me that Tyler and Brandon had done it. Like it felt good to know that they had acknowledged that. But my dad and I we don't have problems. My dad is not mean. My dad's not a bad person. My dad is not. Um, I feel like my dad's under control by this. Like and my dad is never going to step out or speak out because my dad's
Yeah.
world is his grandkids and he ain't ever going to jeopardize that. Like, and I get that. I don't want my dad to do that. My dad stood up for me. In the last joint conversation I had with my mom and dad, I looked at my dad in that conversation and I said, "You know, right now that she is lying. She has twisted this to make me look this way, and you know she's lying." And I said, "This is what she has done my entire life." And I said, "You've never stood up for me one time." And I said, "Right now, you have the opportunity to do what's right and let her know." And I was floored. My dad looked at her and he said, "You are wrong. Zach is not what Zach is saying is what took place that night, and you are wrong." And I looked at my
Wow.
dad and I said, "You just validated everything in my life. I don't." And I remember my mom, the first thing out of her mouth, "Don't tell me that I'm my mother."
Yeah.
And I said, "Dad, how many years ago was it that you looked at me and said, if I ever make that statement to her, it's the one that I will not come back from?"
Yeah.
My dad told me, he said, he said, "She may be, but my mom doesn't have a relationship with her mom. That should tell you something right there."
Yeah.
My mom went no contact with her own mother. My middle brother, the only relationship he has with her is holidays. Like he got married and took, he left too. Like
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Zachary, what would you say to parents who think that coercion and fear will save their children?
it won't. You're damaging them. It's I can't. I never thought that when I'm telling you religion and politics are two things I never wanted to discuss because religion and politics is what took everything from me. And what I mean by that is I don't
Yeah.
have a relationship with anybody in my family.
Yeah.
Like it took everything from me. Most people think that I don't have a relationship with my family over conversion therapy. I worked for my brother building houses for years after they did what they did to me. I forgave them. There wasn't one time that I
Yeah.
ever got mad or upset and brought up conversion therapy. I suppressed it. I didn't talk about it. The first person I ever told was my ex-fiance. We were supposed to hook up and that was supposed to be it. And I trauma dumped on a complete stranger in the middle of the night and didn't even know why. Like when I'm telling you, like
Yeah.
I had never told anybody and sat down and told a complete stranger, Brian, like It's,
Yeah.
but there are kids, I never was going to speak out on it. I got angry over the Tennessee legislation, and that's kind of what started it. The whole drag ban, gender affirming care, like it's just, I'm like, you all have it so wrong.
Yep.
And like it's not even that you all have it so wrong. You all are the ones doing the abuse, and you don't even see it, or you
Yeah.
don't even care. It's like, which is it? You either just don't realize it and you won't open your eyes to it, or you just
Yep.
don't care. And like I've always wanted to know that. So speaking out on that was never a thing. But the first time a parent, there was a man, he came up to me. I didn't know, I had no clue who he was, and he said, "Can I give you a hug?" And I'm like, I guess, and he said,
Yeah.
we were going to send our daughter to conversion therapy. She's 12. We were going to send her. The church told us to send her. And he said, my wife, a friend of hers, heard, and she said, she sent us your TikTok and said, please just watch
Oh
him,
my gosh.
please. And that man hugged me and cried. And he said, you saved our family. You saved our child. And like, I
That is
can't
so
tell you what
beautiful.
that was like, knowing that one person didn't go. Like, I was like, I kept
Because
like,
we always say if it only just saves one person, all of
and
this,
no, I mean,
every
that's been
bit of it,
hundreds
all
now.
these
I mean, that
hours is worth it.
that's been
Yeah.
hundreds now. I mean, but like to
Yeah.
just know that, like, I never thought I would ever do anything with my story. And I've even said, I don't feel like my story is the one that deserves the platform because I'm the one that didn't go. I chose excommunication and being disowned over the abuse. I didn't know exactly what it was going to be, but and I'm so glad because I know the stories now. I mean, like, there are people that have been forced to smell animal waste while they pleasure themselves in front of their therapist.
Yep.
And I'm like, that would have been me.
Yeah.
Like, you're stuck. You can't leave. Your rights are taken away. You are locked in a building. Like,
Yeah.
and it's legal. And they're trying to make it like even the bans that are on it, they're trying to get those. Like, it's going to be overturned. Like, they already took up the case. This will
Yeah.
be overturned in conversion therapy. It will now be illegal to make conversion
Yeah.
illegal. Like,
And it's crazy because we know that the harm that it causes, like measurable harm.
there
And
are kids that are
I
picked up
just,
in the middle of the night by strangers and put in a van
yeah.
and
Oh,
taken away.
I actually
Children.
shared a story that I had come across on Reddit in an evangelical group. It was a group of kids talking about how they were in youth group one night. And their youth leaders, dressed up in all black and ski masks, came in with guns, kidnapped the kids, threw them in the church van, and then took them out into the middle of the woods to do like a mock of like this is what it would be like if the rapture happens. And I was like, you're literally traumatizing these children. Then there's other stories of one girl is in the youth, she goes into the bathroom. Well, they had already told all the kids ahead of time to bring an extra change of clothes. So what they did is while there's a couple kids in the bathroom,
Fake
they
the
leave all
rapture
the
on them.
clothes out everywhere, make it look like the rapture happened, and you have a kid, literally one of these girls has such a severe mental breakdown, they had to take her to the emergency room because her mind was breaking because she thought she was the only one that was left out of a fake scenario. And that's how
So
real
disgusting.
the trauma is. Yeah.
After the Columbine shooting, our youth pastor had an ex-Marine dress up in all black come in our youth room, hold a
Oh,
gun at him, and ask if he believed in God. Said yes, pretended to shoot him and kill him, and then one by one started going through the youth group, and then got up and preached on, are you ready for that judge? Are you ready for that
Yeah.
day? Are you ready to stand up for God? Are you ready to die for God?
I'm so sorry. I don't even
Like,
know what to
they think
say.
that's normal.
Disgusting.
They,
Yes.
can you imagine the fear in
No.
middle and high school
Yeah.
students sitting in their youth group room when a masked gunman comes in to play a skit?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
And our parents are across the street in the sanctuary.
That
I'm
is
just
so messed up.
speechless. Zach,
They're
yeah.
insane. The judgment
There-
houses, like,
Oh God, the judgment houses, I remember taking my kids. Like it was a thing every year. The whole youth group would take the kids to the judgment houses. When I was younger, we had this literal haunted house. Like you would walk through the woods and there's literally like plastic babies hanging from the trees and stuff with fake blood dripping off of them. They're like, this is what happens when you abort your babies, you know?
I was getting ready to say
Yes.
the first one that I went to, the girl had an abortion, died during the abortion, has to go to hell, and then the
Yep.
baby's in heaven. Like it's
Yes.
like
Or it's like two kids, they
Yes.
get drunk driving or whatever. And then, of course, one of
driving
them's in
was the
hell.
second one.
Yep.
Like you know, when we back when I was
Mm.
telling they have that leadership program where they're bringing those kids through the Southern Baptist Convention. When we were chosen for that, this is kind of a weird part of my story that just kind of shows how fucked these people are in the head. The elders of our church were the ones that selected who they thought in the youth group shined and showed the most leadership potential. There were
Yes.
about 200 kids in our youth group total, between all the area Bible studies and the school things that we were doing and stuff. I mean, this was the largest mega church in the Tri-Cities of, that area. Like, so I was one of 10 selected for this. I didn't understand why my older brother Tyler wasn't selected. Tyler was the smart, he graduated valedictorian. He's a doctor. Like
Yeah.
to me, I like he should be my mom's favorite, in my opinion. Like he should be the one she's the most proud of, but he's not. So, I was like, why didn't he get, so I get selected out of this group of 10 to be put through this. I'm seen by everybody as someone that is one of the next future leaders of America.
Yeah.
And then the moment they find out that I'm gay, I go from being that kind of person in their eyes to someone that needs to be electrocuted
Mm.
Yes.
for one thing. One,
Yep.
I kissed a boy.
Yeah.
I have never in my
Unbelievable.
life known why is that their one thing that just
And
but
it's
you can rape
crazy
a
to me.
child and they will lay
Yeah.
hands on you, pray for
Yep.
you, and forgive you and
Yep.
leave you in ministry because you looked and said, I'm sorry. I can't be sorry for something I can't change.
Or you can have
Right.
secret sin that you just excuse away. Like I had this one woman that come to church all the time. She had a raging pill addiction, but because she could use the excuse of it's her back pain, it wasn't an addiction. It's just her medication, And it's like you're a freaking addict,
I got one
lady.
of those
Like everybody.
cousins.
Mhm. Or if you're a functioning alcoholic.
Yep.
I mean, you saw the other day, I had my cousin came for me. I mean, I'm like, you're a pedophile and you're going to come for me on the internet. Like, are you kidding? You
It's
cheated on your wife with the girl in the youth group and you have the audacity. I know you're
don't
going to cut
come
this
for
part
me
out, but like,
unless you want me to come
you have the
back.
audacity to
Yep.
throw that stone at me. When my cousin called me, she said, I know I'm going to regret telling you this. She said, but I have to. And I was like, what? And she said, Alan called. And I said, okay. And she said, he called me. And she said, he goes, hey, cuz, we need to pray for Zach. And she said, what happened? Did he get hurt? And he goes, no, he's a raging liberal and a homosexual. And Chelsea goes, oh, that don't matter. That's nothing.
We don't need to pray about
Okay.
that.
I ain't praying for him for that.
Zach, if someone listening is currently trapped in a similar environment, what do you want them to hear right now?
Oh God. Um, Leaving is the hardest part. And it's you're not gonna leave and not miss it. You have to grieve it. Grieving people that are still alive is very hard to do.
Period.
Very hard to
Yes,
do.
it is.
What I will say is it will break you. You're not going to your life is going to be hard. It's going to break you, but you have to break to be the new version of
Oh,
yourself. I mean, it's like, and I see that now. I came to the internet and I thought I was ready, and I wasn't.
I wasn't either
Um,
when I first come on. Some of my older videos, as soon as they pop up, I'll be like, "Oh, I'm deleting that one.
oh,
Nobody ever
I
needs
went
to
and
see that
private.
again."
I went and privated. I went back and privated all and started over.
Yeah.
Not because my story's changed or but
No.
I'm not as angry.
Yes.
I am. You have to go through that grief process. And giving up substance. That was I self-medicated for
Yeah.
years
Hmm.
with substance and like successful life. Well, you've seen drugs every day. Like
Yep.
it's not an
Yeah.
easy thing. And so I mean, but it's worth it.
And
Um,
Zach, the one thing that I realized too is that you don't know when or where you're going to be when you smell something, hear something, and that grief is going to become overwhelming.
Yep.
You don't have a choice to make sure that it's with your therapist or it's with somebody you trust. Sometimes those feelings happen while you're walking through Walmart. It's
Yep.
like, oh, I gotta get out of here. And then you get in the car and you're like, what's the matter? And then you realize that you haven't given yourself time to grieve.
Yep.
The one that I've not been able, my nephews are a big one. And it's not that I don't think about them. But I don't I it's just become a thing where like and I know that sounds horrible. I will go through
No.
pictures and I know all the details about them. I know that there's going to come a day that they're going to know the truth. And that's fine. I don't, they're at a place that they've been, we miss Uncle Zach. We don't know why he left, but we just pray that, every day that God will bring him back. And I know
Yeah.
that that is a hopeless prayer. And I hate that they're praying it, but I'm not the one that gave the ultimatum. I'm
Yep.
not, my sister-in-law gave me an ultimatum and then got mad at me for what it did to their kids. And I'm like, I, if I had this role in their life
You're
and you looked at,
responsible. Yeah.
and you looked, I mean, my youngest nephew on my brother's side, he's named after me.
Yeah.
I mean, these kids like they knew who I like. That is not Uncle Zach is not a person that is not ever going to be remembered in. Like, they're going to know and they're going to find out
Mm-hmm.
the truth. And I can't
Yeah.
help it at that day, but my dad is the one that there have been so many things like when Delilah,
Yeah.
conversations on that. Like I wanted to call my dad and be like, because my dad was the one coming home from church. My dad was the one that told me that Delilah wasn't in our hometown, and it broke me. And he didn't even do it on purpose. I was just like, can we go see her in Kingsport? And he was like, well, that's gonna be hard. She's on the West Coast, and I'm like, she's not here. And for whatever reason, it made it not seem like she was. I don't know why,
Yeah.
like that she wasn't there, and it bothered me. And I remember staring out the window, like trying to not let my dad see me crying because
Yeah.
it just broke me or whatever. Like, and but like growing up, I mean, I always wanted to listen to Delilah coming home from church and things like that. Like she was my comfort. And so there's just things like I want to call my dad but like I have not talked to my dad since I've told my story. And I don't know.
Yeah.
My
Mm-hmm.
dad's opinion may have changed.
I haven't spoken to any of my family members since I've come out publicly as being openly bi,
Yeah.
and telling my story. And I probably won't ever speak to him again because he can't hold it. He can't hold it. He can't
I
take accountability. He can't take ownership. Like,
And I mean, for me, there's one thing that I always want to reiterate, and I mean, I think it's the piece that gets lost in my story because it is extreme. My mom had an affair with the pastor. My story isn't that my mom had an affair with the pastor. My story is that the pastor that was blackmailing me into conversion therapy had an affair with my mom while he was doing it.
yep.
I wish that he had had an affair with any other woman in that church other than my mom.
Yes.
I wish that my story wasn't that he had an affair with my mom. My story isn't to blast my mom. I can't help it that
Yeah.
she was the one. My story is these are what pastors are doing.
Yep.
And you know what I mean? And there's so many people that think that I've attacked my parents or that I'm like, if I wanted to attack, I would do the things that would
Oh,
really
yeah.
attack.
And, I've
It
never,
wouldn't be one focused thing. I would tell my whole life story.
yeah.
I would tell the dirt.
Yep.
I would
It's the
spill the
same for
beans.
me. Like,
I'd go viral for it.
and I
I would
have,
go viral as the guy with the crazy
yep.
theme. Like I could tell all their stories. That's not what I'm here for.
Yep. And I have
Right.
spoken, about my father several times publicly. Nobody knows his name. Nobody knows his social media. I don't share the name of his church. I don't do that stuff. And part of that is because I'm still protecting him. And I know I shouldn't be doing that. But at the same time, it's because I just feel like I'm obligated to. I don't know why. It's stupid. It doesn't make sense. But it
Unlike
is what it is.
unlike me, Glenn Buchanan, West Palm Beach, Florida, Apostolic Christian Church, and Roger Evans was the minister at the time, and I'm sure the whole church knew about it.
She's
But
like
see, here
me.
you go. This is
Um,
healing, okay? Because this is just
yeah.
another good example for our viewers. Everybody's in different stages and what it is that they are comfortable and are not comfortable with sharing. So,
And you understand that I respect
yeah,
you for that and anybody who's
absolutely.
not. But I realize that I have kept their secret
Yes.
for years. And when my brothers and stuff in August, when I went back to the cult, asked me why I came, and I said, because this is for me, because I made it, right? And when I
Yeah.
realized they looked at me and I'm like, I have a podcast. I'm going to be doing a podcast. I'm writing a book. And they said, my brother Tom looked at me and said, don't you ever send me a book because I'll burn it. And I was like, good, we can have a burning book together and I'll burn the Bible and you can burn my book. One's going to be full of lies and one's going to be full of truth. So
Burn,
you
baby,
can just
burn.
burn, baby, burn.
Burn,
And it
baby,
was, and
burn.
I realized at that time that there are other people that need to know that I'm not afraid anymore of who and what, where,
Yep.
when, and how and why. I was for 54 years.
Yeah.
I protected their secrets.
So, Zach, we're
Yeah.
getting winded down here.
Yeah.
What does freedom mean to you now?
Ugh. Um, I do feel free. And it's the only person that stayed friends with me. I wanted to throw this part in. The only person that stayed friends with me from the church was Stephanie, the girl that they tried to get me to
Yes.
manipulate and marry into, marry. And like,
Yeah.
it's so crazy. I mean, her and I to this day are still friends, and she's very supportive of me speaking out and this, stuff ending and stuff. But I think back so many times. Her and I, 2 years ago, we met for lunch, and I told her, I said, I'm not trying to say that we would have ended up married, and I'm not, and she cut me off, and she said, "You're not crazy. We would have."
Yeah.
And in that moment was and she thanked me for not doing that to her. But I just always think back to what I could have been trapped in, what they could have done. And I
Yeah.
look at, there's nothing that would ever make me want to go back.
Yep.
Nothing. I mean,
Nothing.
I think that they are horrible, brainwashed people.
Yes.
And that's all I can
Absolutely.
leave it at. My grandma told me when I was little, you don't argue with crazy.
No, you don't,
And
because you got to get on their level to do it. And I
I,
don't want
that's,
to
I
stoop
mean,
that low.
that's the thing. And I
That
got
whole
to a
thing.
place, my freedom came with, I'm going to live my life for
Mhm.
what I feel my purpose is and what I want to do. And when I tell you the freedom that I feel in that, the happiness that I have and the passion and joy that I feel in the work that I'm doing is what makes life okay. It
Yeah.
makes everything that I went through okay. I'm just now to the place of understanding that had I not gone through the things that I did, I would not be fighting to make the changes that I'm making in the world.
Yeah.
And to know what I went through, to be on this side of it and be healed and okay, I'm finally to the place that it was worth it.
You are incredible. You are so
You're
incredible.
So
I just want you to
oh
it's
know
God.
that. I love you so
I
much.
wish I could hug you right
I
now
do. I
because
do too. Because
just
we know that feeling,
yes.
like, and it's so powerful because again, we know what this is like walking through this and what that trauma is and what it looks like and how hard healing is because it's not an easy road to walk healing and to be in a place where you know that you are well enough to help people and not just help people but pull them out of the
Yes.
flames to where they don't go down the same paths, and that is so powerful.
I
And there's a
mean,
song that's out there that's by Citizen Soldier, and it hit me really hard. It was like, "Thank you for hating me." And it talks about the people in your life that pushed you, shunned you, did all these things to you. And he's a trauma therapist and he writes recovery songs or survival songs. And that hit me so hard because if they wouldn't have hated me, Zach, I would have been them.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, that's where I'm at. I mean, like
Yeah.
and I mean, there are days that I feel like, I have, I feel like I have a level of impact that I can make because of who I was inside the church. And I
Yeah.
think that I'm finally at a place. I've always stayed consistent on TikTok. Facebook and Instagram, I've never tried to grow because
Yep.
it's not that I'm ashamed, but I know that when I post over there, I'm ruffling the waters because those 3,500 followers that I have on each of those pages, those aren't followers that I don't know personally. Those are people from my life. When I tell you I
Yeah.
know shit tons of people, I know shit tons of people personally. And I have
Yeah.
always been the person that everybody loved. I can't tell you how many people thought, I just thought you got a pass. I thought because of who you were in the world, you just got a pass for being gay. Nobody knew what they did to me. Nobody knew,
Yeah.
Right.
what they threatened me with and all that. So here recently, I've started going back over and posting in that. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that breakaway gave me enough time to heal on TikTok where they weren't watching, to come
Yes.
back. And there are so many people. And I'll tell you the craziest of all of it is that I've always tried to go after the older people that I knew. You know, I was in this middle place. I taught kids choir. So I had 3 and 4 year olds that I was teaching and their parents that I was friends with. Like it's this, and I've been trying to reach the parents that I was friends with. Those
Yeah.
kids are now 21, 22, 23, and they're finding
Yes.
out what happened to me. And I made such an impact on those kids' lives. They remember me and they're upset. They're
Yes.
mad.
And
And
some of
that's the
those kids,
generation that
yes.
we need the change to
Yes.
happen in.
Yes.
The parents aren't going to change. It's the kids.
No.
And that's
Yeah.
one of them came in, you know, it all started. I did that video on the couple that was suing the Southern Baptist Convention. And Lexi, their daughters, Lexi and Morgan, I was close with. I loved them kids.
Yeah.
I did. And Lexi was the first one, their middle daughter. She came and was like, you know, hey, you know, this is my mom and dad. They're not mad at the church. And I was like, I'm not saying that they're mad at the church. And I explained myself well. And that brought Morgan in. And then Morgan and I had a conversation. And I'm like, you all know Stephanie. You don't know this part. This is what the church did, you know, and they need to know. They need to be educated in
Yes.
these things.
Hmm.
She came in my live last night, and her and I were chatting for a little bit. You know, it's just like it's those are the that's the impact, you know, and I feel
Yes.
like I do have, it's not just my story, it's the personal things that I have. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like if anybody's going to make some change in that area and in this way, I hope it's me. I do.
Yeah.
So we'll
You're
see.
so amazing. You know what? And I always say that I'm just for people who come on to speak their truths to power, right? And to be able to stand up against that force and against that shame and against that shunning and say, look, I'm
I'm
still
going to be
here.
a force to be reckoned with. You better look out.
I'm not
And
going
I think
anywhere.
they knew that. I think
Yeah.
they knew. You know, that they taught me to be who I am, and it turned on
Yes.
them. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
they
That's
wanted me to
exactly
be their
true.
leader. They wanted me to be their leader, but only if I was leading the cult in the way that the cult
Yes.
was supposed to be led. What happens when
Exactly.
you educate and train that person, and then they open their eyes and they're like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa."
Yep.
If you thought I was a leader inside your cult, wait till I want to be a leader outside.
Wait until I'm actually out here and have the opportunity to be able to truly help people. That's
Right.
game changing,
I ain't trying
life
to get nobody
changing.
to turn from God. I'm trying to
Yep.
No.
get people to look at false prophets using his
Yes.
name in vain.
Yep.
That's what I'm trying to get people to see.
And
Like,
that is so important because I respect everybody's journey and it doesn't matter where their journey is. But there's a little girl out there that's an apostolic Pentecostal girl, and she doesn't think she has a way out.
You do.
You do. And here I am.
I mean, we grew up if we could just survive it. How,
Yes.
like, and I think that's a lot, you know, working with the at-risk youth and building these neighborhoods and things, you know, like for me, and I mean, it's not, it starts with at-risk youth because, you know, they made me scale it back and be like, you know, let's implement it and stay, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, for me, I grew up in a stable home. I had a
Yeah.
roof over my head every night. I had a warm bed to sleep in. I never went without a meal. I was not physically abused. Now, my mom whipped me and things like that. I don't ever remember. There was one time my dad went to whip us. He whipped my brother Tyler with his plastic belt. He was sick with the flu. Tyler laughed and said that didn't hurt a bit. He came to my room to whip me. I'm packing on underwear and he just shakes his head and walks in. Like, that is the extent of my dad punishing me growing up. My mom has hit me with everything under the sun,
Yeah.
from a coat hanger to
Yeah.
a wooden spoon to a tree
A metal
branch.
hanger.
You know, like I grew up in a stable home and I know what my childhood was. I could not imagine trying to survive my childhood and not have a stable home. And
Yeah.
now that is why my heart is where it's at, because I know that these kids do not have a chance in hell until somebody tries to fix this for them. And our state is not doing it.
Yep.
Our state is worried about banning pride flags and drag shows,
Yes.
which are causing no harm while they are ignoring the abuse to underage kids in a system that they have been trafficked into. And I am irate. And the Christians are enabling it.
Yes.
And I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
I will die on
Yes.
this hill and I will call them out. I will hold that mirror up. I'm
Yep.
sorry. You're not going, in the name of Jesus, you're going to pray for me for being a homosexual. Well, I'm going to pray for you all. Like,
Yeah.
here we go, out loud.
Yep.
And let me tell you what, I'm a single girl. And when I want to feel safe and go out to a club, guess where I go?
To the gay
I,
bar.
to the gay
Yep.
bar
Because
because I know,
we aren't gonna harm you.
And
You're
no,
I
and
don't
safe
have
with
to
the
worry
gay.
about you trying to get in my
not
pants
only that, I
either.
can dance,
Like,
I can twerk without getting my body touched, without being embarrassed, without doing anything. And I know that the women and the men in that bar are going to walk me to my car and make sure I'm safe.
yep. Yep.
Exactly. So, Zach, what does freedom mean to you today?
I already asked him that question.
Oh,
You're
I'm
supposed to ask
sorry.
him,
I was getting ready to
uh,
say, wait.
no, ask him, where can people
Okay.
support him? Yeah.
Where can people support your work or learn about what you're building?
There's two places, and we can plug these links or whatever. You've got so you've got my personal website, zacharyheathhomes.com. Um, what I am now considered is a developer executive project manager, which what that means is I go in with nonprofits, and I'm specifically working with Persevere. They just got into the federal prison system. Persevere teaches technology trades to inmates. They have computer labs inside the prison systems, and these people come out with technology certifications and trades that
That's
get them
incredible.
good paying jobs. And then there's also Banyan Labs that works within Persevere, and Banyan Labs employs them. So they're doing all kinds of, they basically come out of prison with a really good paying job. And we do not let their criminal record keep them from having a good paying job. And their reincarceration rate is drastically down.
That's
They are now
awesome.
working in the juvenile
Awesome.
detention centers with at-risk youth, doing the same thing with coding. So I work with them. We have to raise money. There's a lot, grant funding is being stripped right now, specifically HUD funding and things like that. And I'm not
Yeah.
worried. The process works and their program works. And it's going to take some time. And there's a lot of things going on, but I'm thrilled with this in the direction that they're going. Within this program that we're doing, we're starting with our first neighborhood in Memphis, which is going to be specifically at-risk youth. We want to expand to a second in Northeast Tennessee, which will be domestic violence, but this is specifically for mothers who have lost their kids to the foster care system that can't get their kids back because of the situation that they're in. So we get to kind of expand it into domestic violence with at-risk youth. While my thing is I want the kids out of the system, but you got to keep them
Yeah.
going into the system too. We got to prevent,
Yeah.
we got to fix
Right.
what's allowing kids to be put into this system. We got to stop that. And then we got to figure out how to help parents get their kids out of that
Yeah.
system. And we got to fight that. So those are the two big projects that we're working on right now. I'm so excited. Persevere's in 6 states. And this is going to expand fast. I have spent 3 years
Yes.
getting
I
here, and
have
Heather
seen,
knows
like,
this has been
I've
a
been there
long,
watching all the posts that
you
he's
have
made.
been
He has put
and how
it
many things have
in.
gone wrong. Every time
Oh my
something goes
gosh.
wrong, something
Yes.
better comes. And,
Yes.
I moved back down to Florida.
Yeah.
Michael called me one day and he was like, "You're defeated. Get away for a bit. Like, I can't, And so I came down and I was doing a vacation, and then ended up, it was like, I just need to walk away.
Yeah.
This is really starting to affect me. I got down here, started, opening up cabinet business and doing what I normally did. And that was when Persevere come knocking on the door. They're an amazing organization. This is to get to do this on a national level is a dream come true for me. And I'm thrilled. But there's my website where you can learn about my company specifically and the organizations that we're working with, see some of my work. And then we have our Upcurve funding platform. And I'm going to plug this here. Upcurve is a new fundraising platform, kind of like, the other ones that are out there.
Yeah.
The thing about Upcurve is built by Banyan Labs, which is the technology company that employs these at-risk youth and these inmates that are coming out. So we now have a fundraising platform that is similar to others that anybody in the world can use.
Yeah.
And what you are doing by using this platform, there's special benefits that come that they do for you individually, but using this platform to raise funds for your own things is employing these people and giving them jobs. So the company
Oh,
that's
that's
actually running this
incredible.
program is doing that. So, Upcurve is people can use this website to do their own fundraisers. You as a person
Yeah.
can say, I want to go start a fundraiser right now, create it, get your link and go out. That Upcurve fundraiser that's on my page is Persevere's donation link. Those are,
Yeah.
tax deductible charitable contributions that you can use. We're trying to hit our first $300,000 mark. For us, the beginning phase is what's hard that we have to raise the money for, and then our grant funding is actually on the construction phase. So the pre-planning and all of that is what we are raising money for, so that we then qualify for we have to have approval from the city and then qualify for the grant, and it takes a lot of money to get that
Yeah.
approval and get those plans through ready to be able to get the grant. So, we're going to try and utilize social media for things like that. It took a lot of burden off me. I've been trying to do a
Yeah.
$150 million campus. They're making me kind of grow through
Yeah.
this, and I'm excited. So we're a very good partnership. I feel
Well,
very comfortable building and moving on and letting these people
yeah,
run
and
the
what you're
program.
doing is so incredible and exciting. And as always, as we do every week, I'll be sure to put all of your links in the show notes. That way, people can find you in all the various places. Zachary is on social media. He loves to post videos online, and you guys want to see his handsome face a little bit. I know it. So, before we actually close up here, I just want to ask you one more thing. If you had a piece of advice or a word of encouragement for anybody that may be struggling with the things that you went through, what would you say to them today?
First of all, there's support groups out there. If look out. It's specifically conversion therapy. There's, Sam with Conversion Therapy Survivors Network. They do. I
He's
wish I'd
incredible.
had that. I wish something like that would have been there. They're doing great work with the things that they do. I've, been a guest speaker a couple times within them. Make sure you're ready to make that change in your life. The first time I thought I was ready and I wasn't, and I went back. And then the second, that's a weird place to be. Make sure you're ready, because it's it's a weird feeling losing your entire support system at once.
Yeah.
Everybody turning their back on you at the same time is a very isolating feeling. So don't go into it thinking it's going to be easy.
But
Um,
healing is possible,
it
and we
is.
can reclaim our lives after religious harm, can't we?
And
The advice
living,
that I wish I'd have had was, this is not going to be an easy road, but it is
And
so worth
yes,
it.
and
It
it's
is
not going to last
so.
forever. Like the hard parts will not last forever. And every bit of the hardness is worth, every bit of what you have to endure to heal is worth what you gain on the other side of it. Like, because the life that is waiting for you on the other side is more beautiful and bountiful and abundant and just so many things that you never thought it could have ever been because you were always taught to be afraid of that kind of life.
and healing is messy.
Yep.
Yep.
But
It's
you're
so
looking at
messy.
three people here today that are thriving, surviving, and living their best life
Yes.
on the other side
I
of
mean, and look at these
trauma.
smiles.
Yes, look at this. We can still laugh and cut jokes
I can tell
and
you there are no pictures with me smiling this big when I was inside
Right?
the evangelical cult.
Never.
me neither.
Never.
I
I had
actually can
gray
go
eyes
back.
and a
Yeah,
sad face.
I can literally go back and look at my countenance and I can
Mhm.
see the sadness, the depression, the weight of what was I was carrying all the time. So, thank you for being here with us this week, Zachary.
Thank you
You
for
have been
having
such a joy to have
me.
on our show. And I'll say it like I do every week, but if you guys enjoyed this episode, please hit that subscribe button. We could not continue doing this without all of your support. We're so grateful to have you guys here with us again this week. And thank you one more time, Zachary. It is just wonderful to be able to talk with you today and hear your story. You are
Thank
And
such
you.
an
Zach,
incredible human.
and Zach, I was going to tell you, I told you that I loved you in the beginning because if Heather loved you, I loved you. Throughout this hour and a half, I personally love you now. Not only because Heather did it, but I am a full-fledged fan.
That's it. You're part of the tribe. It's over. And that's a wrap. We love y'all. Thank you for being here with us again this week. And catch us back again next week for another episode of The Awakening. We are healing loudly together, one story at a time.
The preceding podcast is solely owned by the host or hosts and is distributed by Big Media LLC. Copyright 2026.